Hello, guys. Oh, God, my freaking voice
Hello,
broke.
guys.
Hello, guys. All right, hello. Hello, guys. You're back with Universes Beyond. Myself, Yordo Baggins, and Samwise Buzzspell. We're doing another deck tech today, which is focused around one of the new commanders from the upcoming set of Modern Horizons 3. It's a very exciting Eldrazi commander. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is Emrakul, the World Anew. It is a colorless commander, which is the first time I've actually looked at building a deck or a deck tech around it. And I know you're the same, Sam. So it's a bit of an interesting one. But this costs 12 to cast. The artwork here is absolutely insane, if I do say so. I think the artwork is some of the dopest artwork I've ever seen on a Magic the Gathering card. Reminds me of something out of what's that? The world's what's that film with Tom Cruise? You know, the one where like it's the end of the world. I can't remember what that's called. Anyways, but basically, it's a legendary creature, Eldrazi. It's a 12/12, so straight off the bat, this is an absolute killer. 12 to cost to bring it into play. So, I mean, 12 colorless. You know, it's fairly easy to get colorless mana, but 12, regardless, that's a huge cost. Right, so the abilities on this card are: when you cast this spell, gain control of all creatures target player controls. What's nuts about this is it's basically a finisher built into this card. So I think, yeah, we'll get into what this deck is trying to do in a moment, but that's an absolutely crazy ability. I think the one thing to note there, though, is it's target player controls. It's not all players, so you'd have to target a player. So basically, with me playing you, Sam, you're always the threat at the table, so I'd be targeting you, my friend. So
all of your games,
yeah. You're always the first one I try and take out, Sam, if you haven't noticed that one already. All right, the next ability is it's got flying and protection from spells and from permanents that will cast this turn. Crazy. Protection from spells. All spells and from permanents that will cast this turn. Just like, how are you countering this? And then it says, when Emrakul, the World Anew, leaves the battlefield, sacrifice all creatures you control. So basically, you want to keep this commander in the command zone for as long as possible until you've got your board state to a space where you're ready to take a player out or take players out of the game and just win, right? Like, win the game. And I think the interesting thing here is when you cast this spell, gain control of target player creatures, target player controls. If you've got things which double the when they enter the battlefield triggers, you could do that twice. So there are ways of this card specifically going crazy. And then the last deck is Madness, pay 6 colorless. I'm not sure what Madness is. Have you seen Madness before?
No, I'm not entirely sure what Madness is. Is it a new?
It allows. Oh, okay. It allows the player to cast that spell for an alternate cost if the card is discarded. So it basically says there's a way of cheat. It's basically a way of cheating it out. So okay, that's interesting. So technically there would be a way if you discarded it to be able to pay 6 and get a colorless mana. Pay 6 colorless mana. So okay, right. Interesting. It's a very interesting commander. It can go crazy powerful. So let's get into what this deck is trying to do. So the first kind of step here, we always take a look at the deck tech. So it's obvious that it's got an Eldrazi synergy. It's an Eldrazi kind of tribal deck in a way. It's built around the Eldrazi creatures. Mana ramp. So basically, this is an expensive commander. You're going to want to get as much ramp in here as possible. Obviously, because it's colorless, you're going to be able to get as much ramp as you can out of your artifacts. So there's lots of stuff to go here. Board control. So basically, there are some cards in this deck that we've put in that are just going to make this commander unplayable simply unplayable. It's going to be a destruction deck. It's going to make you want to cry yourself to sleep for a month. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those. Protection. So there's lots of protection in this deck, because even though that card can't get countered, all of your other, spells that you have, all of your other enchantments, all of your other creatures, they will be able to be, countered. So basically we want to protect against that as much as possible. Card advantage, get as many cards as you can, get as many Eldrazi down as possible. And then permanent control, it basically means that if you have a wide board state, you get your commander out, swing out, win the game, and you bask in that glory. You bask in the glory. But yeah, so
everyone hates
you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It literally, you're loving it, cracking open the bottles of champagne, but people are hating.
Brilliant.
Cool. Okay. So the win con is direct damage, permanent control, and board wipe resilience. That's basically it. That's what you want to do. So there's a couple of Modern Horizon 3 includes from the leaks already. This one is just nuts. I love this. That heralds the end. It's a 1 and a colorless, so 2 in total. Creature Eldrazi drone, and it is a 2/2. Colorless spells you cast with mana value 7 or greater cost 1 less to cast. Other colorless creatures you control get +1/+1. So it's an immediate kind of, it buffs up all your creatures basically, because they're all going to be colorless. But then also, they're costing 1 less to cast. So your commander is actually, instead of, what was it, 11 or is it 12?
12, I believe.
12. It is then 11. So it's not quite as much of a store kind of element, Okay, so this one's one of the ones which has been leaked. I don't know if it's a reskin and if it's been released before, but the artwork is awesome.
Awesome.
And that's the only one so far that would fit into that deck. But obviously, as the set we get closer to a release date, there's going to be more cards that gets leaked. So we'll more than likely do another deck tech when there's more cards to put in from the new set. But let us know in the comment section below if you would like us to do that. So Sam, tell us the first card of the previously released MTG cards that would synergize with this.
Eldrazi Temple. It's add 1 to your mana pool, so it's a land, so you just add in 1. Or the one that we might be using here is add 2 to your mana pool, and you can spend this mana only to cast colorless Eldrazi spells or activate abilities of colorless Eldrazi. So yeah, this goes straight into this deck. No questions asked. It's obvious why. It's awesome for this deck. So basically, you're using that to cast your commander, and then you only have to pay 10 others. And if you drop down that other one, you're actually only having to pay 9 because you cut. That's awesome. Yeah, synergy,
pretty banging.
Love it.
On to the next. All is Dust. I love this card. 7 colorless. It's a tribal sorcery. Eldrazi. I've never seen that before. Tribal sorcery. Each player sacrifices all colored permanents he or she controls. That is ludicrous for this deck.
That's savage.
Ludicrous. Yeah. So if you've got colored permanents, that's enchantments. That's all permanents basically. That's colored in any capacity. You're laughing. This is a one-sided board wipe. You bring your commander in and you swing out, win the game, and bask in the glory again. So there we are. On to the next.
I don't know how to pronounce that, but Kozilek, the Great Distortion. I butchered it. That's an 8. Why does it not just say 10? I don't get that. 8 and 2 colorless, and then legendary creature Eldrazi. And then when you cast this card, if you have fewer than 7 cards in your hand, draw cards equal to the difference, which is good for card draw. And then menace and discard a card with converted mana cost X. Counter target spell with converted mana cost of X. So it's a good way to counter target spells, basically. And Yeah, you got to discard cards. Yeah, I mean, it's a decent card. Obviously, it's an Eldrazi, so it works really well with this deck. And yeah, card draw is always good. You might not get that a lot in Colorless, but you do with this card for sure. Legendary creature.
And it's 12/12. Again, a 12/12.
Oh, it's a
And
12/12 as well.
it's a 12/12.
Crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah. But
These creatures are mad.
I know, they are actually crazy. I mean, yeah, some of the most powerful decks in Magic the Gathering's history have been Eldrazi. But yeah, and in the lore of Magic the Gathering, didn't Eldrazi's basically wipe out the other races or something? I'm not too familiar with Magic the Gathering's lore, but I remember hearing something about that. Let us know in the description of this video, in the comment section, because it would be nice to know. If you're a lore master, let us know. And this bottom effect, I do want to just quickly say, discard a card with coveted mana cost X. You don't have to tap this. You just discard a card. So you could literally counter any spell at any time by discarding a card. So if somebody tries to counter one of your spells, you just discard a card that has the same mana value as X, right? Whatever it is. If it's just counter spell, right? 2 blue, you need to just discard a card with 2 mana. You're pretty much laughing to get to that point. And also, I do want to just add, Sam, I think the reason why they do 8 and then 2 colorless separately is because you know some cards say reduce the casting cost by 1. If it was just a number in the top right hand corner without colorless mana, I think you could get free casts down. Do you know what I mean? If you reduced it by that much. So I think that's the reason why, but I might be wrong. Again, comment section it, please let us know.
Man.
But basically, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
I think so. Otherwise, this would be crazy. If you could reduce it by 10 and get it for free, it would be nuts. But okay, on to the next. Ulamog, I love this. There's some great alternate artworks of this one. And this one doesn't have the colorless symbol in it. So I think if you did reduce it, you could get it very, very cheap. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. So this is a legendary creature, Eldrazi. When you cast this card, exile 2 target permanents. Indestructible. So you're laughing straight from the offset. And then when Ulamog attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library.
That's just horrible. What the hell? Who makes this card?
This deck is disgusting.
This has got to be the saltiest deck. Whoa.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's crazy.
This is saltier than your deck, Sam.
And that's saying something. On to the next one.
Sam.
Void Winover is a 9 colorless creature Eldrazi. Your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana costs. 0 is even. That's so funny. Your opponents can't block with creatures with even converted mana costs. Wow, it's 11/9 as well. You're just absolutely savaging people up. And if they do cast it with an odd, like a 1 or something, if you've got the other card out, you just discard a card. And then they literally can't basically. This deck is stopping people do anything. Savage, but if you're into it, you're into it, and I'm into it. So
you are. The thing is with this, right? Like, if you think about like most of the counter spells, their coveted mana cost is 2. Like counter spells 2. Or the reason why they put 0 there is, I believe, if you cast something that's like
Force of Will or something where you don't need to commanders out or something like that.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. Wow. On to the next. It That Betrays. I actually love this. It's like kind of poetic. The names of these cards are almost poetic. It really reminds me of Warhammer 40k, the Eldrazi kind of creature type. I don't know why that is. Reminds me of oh god, what the hell are they called? Anyways, but so this is 12 colorless. Now Eldrazi creature, of course, it has Annihilator 2. Whenever this creature attacks, defending player sacrifices 2 permanents. What the freaking hell, man? And it's an 11/11.
Whenever it attacks as well.
They sacrifice 2, so you haven't even got to deal combat damage. Oh my god, that's mad. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control. So unless they're sacrificing a token permanent, you're just stealing that. You're stealing their permanents. That's nuts. On to the next one.
Nuts. Reliquary Tower. We probably all know what this is. You have no maximum hand size, and you can tap it for 1. Yeah, it's good for this deck for sure.
Say no more. Say no more.
Yes. No more.
Soul Ring, we all know what this is. I really like this artwork, right? But yeah, basically, yeah, you know what Soul Ring is? 2 colorless mana. You know, it has to go in this deck. I'm not going to speak about it too much, but banging.
Banging. Eye of Ugin, legendary land, colorless Eldrazi spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. There we go. This is what we like to see in this deck. 7, and you tap it. You search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, and put it to your hand, then shuffle your library. And it's a tutor, so you're basically, yeah, you're being able to tutor, and you're getting all of your spells costing 2 less. Pretty much all your creatures or whatever. So yeah, this is a dirty little card, and it goes straight into this deck for sure.
It's just terrifying. It's honestly terrifying. All right, on to the next. I know. Warping Whale. It's 1 and a colorless. It's an instant. So choose 1. Exile target creature with power or toughness 1 or less. Counter target sorcery spell. Or put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi creature token onto the battlefield. It has sacrifice this creature and add a colorless to your mana pool. So yeah, I mean, pretty good. I mean, you know, the first 2 are pretty limited use cases. I mean, you know, if a creature has a power or toughness 1 or less, you know, there are lots of decks that are low to the ground like that, but you know, a lot of the time you're probably going to buff them up, so 1 or less is quite difficult to get. But then counter target sorcery spell, there are lots of banging sorcery spells that would try and get rid of you know, board wipes basically. So board wipes usually, I would say most of the time, are sorceries. If you think about, you know, your toxic deluge, you talk about
damnation.
What's the other one?
I think so.
Damnation. Yeah. So a lot of them are in that space. So I think it's pretty good. And then on to the next one.
Eugene, the Spirit Dragon. I love dragons. Who doesn't like dragons? It's an 8. Yeah, it's a plains, obviously, legendary planeswalker, and it says +2. This card deals 3 damage to any target. Minus, is that, no, it's just X, sorry. Exile each permanent with converted mana cost of X or less. That's 1 or more colors. Jeez.
Wow.
And then 10, minus 10, sorry. You gain 7 life there. Draw 7 cards. Nice. Then put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Even tastier. What? This is sick.
The minus X is actually crazy though. Exile each permanent with coveted mana cost X or less. That's 1 or more colors. Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy. Honestly, yeah, nuts. On to the next one. Spawn Shower of Ulamog. It's a 10 colorless. Again, it's pretty cool artwork. The Eldrazi creatures are just terrifying, aren't they? So I think this kind of it encompasses that really. But yeah, anyways, so this one kind of looks like a Death Eater from Harry Potter, you know. You see what I mean? Yeah, right. So it's Yeah, little alien Defi, yeah. So it's an Eldrazi creature, Annihilator 1. We already know what Annihilator does, but when this creature attacks defending player, sacrifices a permanent. Oh my
Hmm.
god, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. And then it has 2 activated abilities. It has 1 which costs 4 colorless. Put 2 colorless 0/1 Eldrazi spawn creature tokens onto the battlefield. They have sacrifice. Add 1 of 1 colorless to your mana pool. And then this bottom one says 20. So it has an ability which is 20 mana to cast it. And it says cast any number of Eldrazi cards you own from outside the game, oh god, without paying their mana costs. So if you've got loads of them in exile, you're just casting as many cards as you want.
Wow.
That is crazy, man.
That's
Crazy.
just mental. That is.
I know. All right, Sam, lay it on us.
Conduit of Ruin. It's a 6 colorless creature, Eldrazi. When you cast this card, you may search your library for a colorless creature card with converted mana cost of 7 or greater, which is pretty much all of them. Reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. Again, it's another little cheeky tutor. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast, so it's also got ramp. It's a tutor and a ramp. Damn, that's just all of these just do bits, don't they, for your deck?
They do.
It's a 5/5 as well. Yeah, you want this.
I
Well.
really don't. I'm scared, man. I'm scared. This deck is just lethal. But yeah,
man.
on to the next one, Oblivion Sour. It's a 6 colorless Eldrazi creature. When you cast Oblivion Sour, target opponent exiles the top 4 cards in his or her library. Then you may put any number of land cards that player owns from exile onto the battlefield under your control. Oh my god, man.
Yeah.
Target player exiles top 4 cards of his or her library. Then you may put any number of land cards that player owns from exile onto the battlefield under your control. Any number of cards from exile. So they may have 10 lands in exile, for example. And yeah, you're just basically, you can put them under your control. That's nuts. Yeah. This whole thing is about like stealing your opponent's resources, really, in a weird way as well. But just being in a position to, like, with this, you're basically taking from your opponents, or you're at least stripping them of like any way of being able to defend themselves, and then you're just swinging out. Like, this is CEDH written all over it. You couldn't have a deck like this that is below level 7 or 8, surely, because it's not. It's too powerful. But yeah, on to the next one.
Not of this world. It's a 7 colorless tribal instant again, Eldrazi. Counter target spell or ability that targets a permanent you control. Nice. Not of this world costs 7 less to cast if it targets a spell or ability that targets a creature you will control with the with power 7 or greater. So most of these cards I think we've got in here have all got a power 7, maybe apart from the last one.
Yeah.
So basically, you're getting this for free if they're targeting one of your creature cards. Wow.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts.
Yeah, which is when you would probably use it. Realistically, you're not casting this for 7. You're just casting it to save your commander or save, one of these top, like what's it called again? It that betrays or something like that. One of those cards that are just probably kill on site cards, remove on site cards. Yeah, people are just targeting. You draw this, and you're like, cool. No, you're not. I'm not paying anything for it either.
That's so true. That is so true. So, like, even in the situation, they've got a perfect counter spell. They've planned it. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
They've put it down. You're just like, no, I'm not paying anything. Bosh. This is 0. Oh man, that is crazy. That is crazy. But
Crazy.
this brings us to the end of this deck tech. So
Indeed
that
it
was
does.
the Eldrazi deck tech, our first one. There's a colorless. I think this is going to be a problem. I think this is going to be a problem. I think people are going to struggle to deal with this one. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, well, I wouldn't say if it ends up on the banned list, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of these cards aren't meant for Commander, but this one, if you played it in Commander, it's, oh man, it's just crazy. I mean,
It's
yeah,
salty.
it's a finisher. It's incredibly salty. It's like one of the most salty cards ever, I think, because you've got protection built into it. You've also got a way of stealing from your opponents. You've also then got a way which, you know, this basically you have to sacrifice all creatures you control. So I mean that's an interesting one, but I mean, when is this going to leave the battlefield? When it comes in, how is it going to leave? When you cast this spell, gain control, but then it's also got flying and protection from spells and from permanents that were cast this turn. So like it's impossible to get rid of it. How can you get rid of it?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
guess
know.
you just. I guess. Well, cast this turn, so I guess after that, people can try and remove it. I guess. But
Oh, I
bar that,
see what you
you know what I mean? Like
mean.
cast
Yeah,
it this
yeah,
turn, so that you'll be casting
yeah,
it. They wouldn't be able to cast it like. Wouldn't be able to counter it straight away, but after that, they they can try and
yeah,
remove it. I guess.
yeah. So you
So yeah,
definitely
it's
want to
pretty crazy.
you want to try and finish the game with this commander mainly,
Yeah,
don't you? But yeah,
pretty
well, anyways, that is the end of our deck tech here. I'm really enjoying the deck tech
nice.
series. I know Sam, you are too. Um,
Indeed.
It is good. It's really good fun. I'm enjoying putting these together with you, Sam. They're cracking.
Well,
And let us know what you think below. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you dislike. Correct us if we've been wrong at any point. We've made a couple of assumptions about the colorless thing or whatever. Let us know down below, and let us know what you think of the deck tech. Would you if someone rocked up to your table with this deck, would you go and cry and run home to your mum? I probably would. Anyways, please subscribe if you like it, because that
please do.
shows us that you do like it, and that means that we can put out more content. But other than that, this has been Universes Beyond. Peace, everybody.
Peace.